The man just let out a fart on the street and then got shot by a dude. The next day, he dared to do it again and was sent to meet God directly. But God seemed to dislike him, making him trapped in a death time loop on the same day. Jack has died 1,234 times. Every morning he wakes up, he lowers the head to dodge the knives. Sits up, puts on shoes to dodge. Stands up, bends over to dodge. He is so familiar with the time and direction of the killer's move that he can evade it effortlessly. With just a t-shirt, he can block the knives and wrap the killer's arm to bring him down. Knowing the killer would groan on the ground for 6 seconds, Jack pours himself a cup of hot coffee and takes a little sip. When the killer stands up, he splashes it on his face. Outside the window, on a helicopter, is the second killer who holds a Gatling gun. Jack has long hidden behind a pillar, letting the first wave of bullets take out the first killer. 8 seconds later, the Gatling gun stops firing. Jack throws a flying knife to headshot the killer. After the killer is down, the Gatling gun starts to misfire, its trajectory slowly shifting to the right. Jack walks through the hail of bullets to the sofa and crouches down. Though he successfully avoids the falling rotor blades, he still doesn't know why he's being hunted. Suddenly realizing the helicopter is about to explode, Jack quickly jumps out the window, landing perfectly into a garbage truck. There were 22 times before he didn't land in it. Once he was run over by it and turned directly into a meat sauce pizza. What a poor dude. Next, he went to steal a sports car. The driver would shout loudly each time, but no one came to rescue him. Jack even stole his sunglasses. The third wave of killers was on their way. Jack had to escape quickly. On his 79th revival, just because he didn't drive fast enough, he was directly hit and sent flying by a bus. He had to reach the speed of Fast and Furious 9 to avoid this bus. But even so, he was still killed by the pair of sisters 14 times, by the bomb maniac 2 times, by the guy who looked like him 3 times, and by the girl with the long knife 8 times. He had managed to counter-kill everyone else but the girl who always appears mysteriously and cuts off his head with 1 stroke. And every time she kills him, she would even show off.
I am Guan Yin, and Guan Yin has done this.
He had tried to resist, but the killers were too numerous and too powerful. He had never lived past 1247. Sometimes, after escaping the killers, he would go to a Chinese bar and drink 2 bottles of the liquor. Jack suspected his ex-wife, Rose, had trapped him in this infinite loop. Originally, he was a member of a special forces unit. After retiring, he stopped working and didn't take care of his son, which led to his wife divorcing him. Since then, he fell into an endless death loop. On his 145th revival, Jack hid in an underground shopping mall and unexpectedly saw his own son. He took his son out of the mall and suddenly realized it was already 12:50. He had actually survived 3 more minutes than before. At the moment, Jack figured out he had a tracker on him, which had no signal underground, so the killers couldn't find him. Just as he thought this, the killers began to appear one by one. He held his kid in front of him, and bullets struck his back one by one. Before dying, Jack looked at his child and felt very happy. Wake up again, Jack fiercely caught the killer and asked him how he tracked him down, but the killer refused to speak even in death. Jack had no choice but to find out on his own. He sought out a friend at a security company and asked where would be the most suitable place to implant a tracker in the body. The friend suggested inside a tooth. Jack rushed into the bathroom, pulling out his teeth one by one, taking a swig of white wine after each one, suffering intensely. Finally, he located the tooth with the tracker. Now he could strike back. Holding the tooth as bait, he lured the killers out and systematically ambushed and retaliated against them. After dealing with those killers, Jack called his ex-wife, but instead of her, her boss answered. The boss informed him that his ex-wife was already dead, and he was next. It turned out the big boss was his wife's employer. Jack had to go after the big boss now. But before that, he needed to deal with this girl who had killed him over 20 times. Jack found a Chinese sword master who had won the world championship for 12 consecutive years. He asked her to teach him how to wield a sword. At first, they used their hands as swords, exchanging moves. The master defeated Jack repeatedly, leaving him covered in injuries every day. Gradually, Jack began to understand the meaning of swordsmanship and was able to practice with a wooden sword. Despite still taking a beating, his confidence grew steadily. After 174 attempts, he could exchange a few moves with the master. Eventually, after countless more tries, he was able to duel the master with a real sword. After 7 exchanges, Jack defeated the master and paid his respects. Returning to face the girl again, Jack set aside his gun, picking up a sword from the wall. When the girl attacked, Jack was unshakable, lightly deflecting her. With just a strike, he grazed her inch of hair. They dueled again. Jack held his left hand behind him, wielding the sword effortlessly with his right. The sword became an extension of his arm, achieving a state where the person was the sword, and the sword was the person. This time, the girl could no longer challenge him, succumbing to his repeated strikes aimed at her throat. Even if she disarmed him, he could still counterattack and win. Now, here comes the boss. Jack killed the old man with just a few moves. But before dying, the boss told him he had already sent someone to kill his son. Jack raced to save his son, only to find his son's lifeless body. Jack was devastated. Upon waking again, he completely gave up resistance, letting the killer to finish him off. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Until this time, Jack suddenly stood up again. He wanted to make amends. He spent time chatting, playing games, buying food with his child. Gradually, he learned how to be a father. Then one day, his child told Jack that his mother had called him this morning. Jack was surprised to realize his ex-wife was still alive every morning. Jack saw from the surveillance that the boss killed his ex-wife at 7:14. He woke up every day at 7 o'clock, meaning he had 14 minutes each day to save her. When he revived once again, he raced against time, jumping into a helicopter. He arrived at the base by 7:10. Used a Gatling gun to wipe out everyone in 10 seconds by 7:12. Then, Jack took an additional 2 minutes to clear the lab, eliminated the boss before he killed his ex-wife. Jack succeeded in saving his ex-wife. Rose held Jack tightly. Both of them cried tears of joy. But the death loop still couldn't be broken. Rose told Jack, to restore the world to normal, he had to step into the time machine and merge with it. But no one knew whether he would survive or die after stepping inside. This time, Jack didn't plan to escape anymore. He wanted to take on the responsibilities of a man. Gently, he said to Rose, "Thank you for raising our child. I spent many days with him, although I couldn't make up for anything from our lovely child. I saw your years of hard work and endless love." Then, for the sake of the person he loved, he resolutely walked towards the machine. When a person accepts the possibility of failure, he transforms from a coward into a hero.